when we asked you to fire up your list. Adam Fox, the Norris Trophy winner.
Well, I guess that tells you it all. It tells it all when he's the Norris Trophy winner. But I mean, here's a guy that, boy, points-wise, just making the power play go, making the Rangers a better team. Sorry, you know, Ryan Donato told me that watch out for this guy. He's going to be great because his dad had him at Harvard, and so I've always been watching Adam Fox, and man, he's just at the tip of the iceberg. I think he's going to get better and better. He sees the ice so well, and I mean, his point total is going to jump up. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he's close to 70, 80 points next year.
Wow. It's tough to follow up a Norris campaign, but based on what you just said, sounds like it won't be that difficult for Adam Fox. It certainly didn't look tough at all playing in the National Hockey League this past season for Jacob Chychrun. What a physical specimen he is, and what a campaign he had.
Oh, yeah, I mean, and playing for Arizona, and I think he got 16 goals or 18 goals, one of those two numbers. And again, he's just a young guy. And I mean, what we forget was he was projected early on to be a top 5 pick in the draft.
Yes, he was.
He got hurt. And, you know, he had a long recovery, and being from Florida, they didn't maybe see him as much. But once he started getting going and getting healthy, his projection has just gone skyrocketing. And I mean, I don't even think we're anywhere close to seeing how good he can be yet, because, I mean, he's got a great shot. He knows when to jump in. And, I mean, he's going to be leaned on an awful lot by Arizona now that they've lost 3/4 of their defense to help them win games. So, I mean, but a great year, and I want to see his next contract.
How about Joel Eriksson Ek?
Yeah, we had him in one of my favorite players ever since he came into the league. And, I mean, I always compared him to Lars Eller of the Caps, but I think he's surpassed him, and he's going to be a better scorer than Lars. He does everything you want. He's tough. He's annoying to play against as all get out. He's got a tremendous release on his shot, and last year was the first year that he really started to use that shot and gain the confidence in it. And, I mean, he could easily, if in an 82-game season, he would have got 25 to 27 goals, I believe. And, I mean, for him, that's great. But what a teammate. I think he's potential captain. He's got an 8-year deal. I mean, Spurgeon's going to retire at some point. But, I mean, this is the kind of guy that you want to lead your team.
Kirill Kaprizov cast a mighty long shadow, but his numbers were impressive. How about projecting into the future this upcoming season? Give us a breakout player.
Well, there's a lot of players you could call on, I mean, I think, in this. But, I mean, I'm looking at the last 20 games of last year, and Lafreniere from the Rangers, I think, is going to be the guy. I mean, there was so much pressure on him at the beginning of the year. I don't think he was playing like he can play. And then once he got those first couple goals under his belt, and then he started to perform, and he ended up with 11 or 12 goals. And I think now he's going to become, with that first year over, that pressure gone, he's going to become the player that I think the Rangers thought they were getting when they luckily got that first pick in the draft 2 years ago.
To follow up on your point and reinforce it, 7 points in his last 9 games of the season. And none of us will forget what we saw during the World Juniors when he went 2 points a night and ate America's lunch. He was incredible. What about Kirby Dach? He seems to be a name that people are talking a lot about.
You know what? If I had to pick one, I picked Lafreniere. But, I mean, we played Chicago a lot. And in the 2 years ago, I mean, when I was coaching in Minnesota, Kirby Dach can stick handle in a phone booth for a 6'4" guy. And I mean, he's got great playmaking ability written all over him. And I mean, if Jonathan Toews come back, this is why I think Chicago's going to do good. And you've got Kirby in the 2-hole. I think he's going to be really good. I just hope he doesn't get hurt and he gets to show off how good he can be, because I think this guy is a real gem.
What a compliment. Stick handling in a phone booth. 5 points in his last 6 games. We saw glimpses of the greatness of Cole Caulfield this past season. Finally, he gets the hardware. The Hobie Baker. Remember, he had already begun his pro career It was on NHL Network. I hosted the show that night. He was in a hotel room and had to accept the award via video. On Wisconsin, congratulations to him and to Coach Tony Granato. Cole Caulfield burst onto the scene. I mean, exploded. I'm going to rattle off the names of all the American players who opened their NHL careers with back-to-back overtime game-winning goals. Cole Caulfield, and that's it, ever. Making history. Then he gets to the playoffs when the pressure is greatest, and he's a healthy scratch the first two games, and then he's not a healthy scratch after that. Why?
Well, without a lot of experience as far as playing in the National Hockey League, you're absolutely right. Every big moment, he's another guy that you know nothing's too much pressure for Cole Caulfield.
No
He's
doubt.
a pure goal scorer. He can shoot the puck. He knows where to go to find open areas to score goals. And when it's on his stick, it's off his stick. He can really shoot the puck. Not the biggest in stature, but boy, it doesn't matter because he competes. And you can tell he loves playing. He's a guy that, for not having a lot of experience that I mentioned earlier, you can see he's oozes with confidence. You want your young players, your young snipers to feel that they belong right away. He felt he belonged, and as the playoffs rolled along, you're absolutely right, Tony. He was put in some pretty big situations as the Canadians went on to a Stanley Cup final and eventually lost to the Tampa Bay Lightning. But he was dynamic. He was fun. He's going to be an electrifying player for the Canadians for many years, and I think he could have a breakout year right now, even though, like I said, didn't play a whole lot in the regular season, a few games, and then obviously quite a bit in the playoffs and scored some big, timely goals.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what you want. I look at him like maybe, say, a Claude Lemieux, who maybe during the regular season, even though I think he's going to score a lot of goals in the regular season, I know Claude Lemieux's a much bigger player than Cole Caulfield, but Claude Lemieux, anytime the game got bigger, he wanted the puck in his stick, and it usually was in the back of the net. I got that same feeling with Cole Caulfield.
Clutch.
When it's
That's
a big,
great compliment.
When it's a big game, he's going to be a clutch player for many years in this league.
At number 3, Carter Verhaeghe. Oh, did Florida find a lot of joy in acquiring him. 36 points in 43 games. His rookie total, 13 points. Of course, he won a Stanley Cup with Tampa. 34 of those 36 scored at even strength. Or 33, if I read the board correctly. 92%. Where does that put him in the league? First. He's third on our league. What a breakout campaign. Bill Zito, there's a reason that general manager got a lot of attention. GM of the year, every move he made, including this one, was a home run.
I was just going to say he got a lot of things right, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
General manager Bill Zito, and he certainly got it right with Carter Verhaeghe and getting an elevated role. Obviously, we know how deep the Tampa Bay Lightning were, and he was a bottom 6 guy and just couldn't find his way. So Tampa Bay was able to let him go to Florida, and obviously he excelled, playing on the top line with Barkov. But make no mistake about it, he shined just as well on his own. You mentioned the 5-on-5 points, the speed, great hands in tight we saw there at times. And boy, he's fit in like a glove, as you mentioned, with the Florida Panthers. He's a fun player to watch. He's electrifying, he's dynamic, and has blazing speed. Big reason why the Florida Panthers had a successful year, along with all the guys that they added, along with their Barkovs and Hubertos, their 2 young stars. And so this is a fun team, and Carter Verhaeghe is loving life in Florida.
If there were an MVP, a Hart Trophy for the second half of the season, that team would have wanted it to go to UC Saros. They were dead in the water, and he caught fire. This is about more than just his save percentage, which was ridiculous from February 15th, Valentine's Day on. That's, of course, the 14th. But, Dano, the point I want to make to you as I look at your hulking frame, and we talked with Jacob Chikrin, he's 5'11". Andrei Vasilevsky is 7'4", okay?
Along those lines.
The goalies that everybody gets so excited about at the draft and in the league are these big guys. He's the opposite of that, and he's still covering the 4x6. Wow.
Well, first off, it seems nowadays you're absolutely right, Tony, where if you're not 6'2", 6'3", at least in the nets, then teams aren't drafting you because it's evolved where these big goalies are athletic and cover more of the net. But UC Saros at 5'11", kind of go back to my era where 5'11" guys excel. Look no further than a guy like Mike Richter, who's one of the best in the game. But how does he do it? His quickness, his side-to-side movement, his athleticism. The guy doesn't quit on a play, and some of those highlights give me goosebumps. Are fun to watch. I mean, he is never out of a play, right? When it looks like the puck's going zipped across right to left, and he's out of it, and there's a wide open half of the net. Well, he gets across and makes the save, and that just shows a guy that has the will to compete as well, and you have to have that as a goaltender, and a guy that is extremely quick, athletic, and just will stop the puck. That's what you got to do as a goaltender. It just seems like we've gone in the way of all big 6'3" and taller type goaltenders, but Saros still excelling at 5'11" and making those small goaltenders feel good about themselves and going, yeah, you can still be a small goaltender if you're a young player and have some success and make it to the best league in the world. And, oh, yeah, maybe be one of the top goaltenders in the league like UC Saros is.
No doubt. Pekka Rinne cast a mighty long shadow. Figuratively and literally, Saros came out of that shadow this year. It was year 2 of his career. And look at who he's alongside. If you're on a board with Brian Leetch, you're doing it right on the back end for the New York Rangers. And a black and white photo, Doug Harvey, if we're going back to the JFK administration, yes, Adam. And yes, he knew that because he's a Harvard man. Dano, a blue liner in year 2 of his career winning the Norris? How did he do it?
Unprecedented. We don't see that too often, but Adam Fox oozes with confidence. Such a great skating defenseman. Thinks the game so well. Great in transition. And yes, he's known for being an offensive player, but he played against top players, so he's very good in his own zone as well, in all 3 zones, as a matter of fact. And boy, did he have an outstanding year for the New York Rangers, and obviously winning the Norris Trophy as top defenseman in the league. And maybe he even has to pinch himself at times and go, did this really happen? But well-deserved. I think he's only going to get better. Average just under 25 minutes a night. And he just did everything for the New York Rangers throughout the season. And they're getting closer to being a playoff team. Last year, they were right in it till pretty well the end. And Adam Fox on the back end certainly is such a key component and a guy that, boy, when you have a stud like that on your blue line, it just makes the game so much easier because you're going to play almost half the game, play in every situation, and you just know when Adam Fox is out there, good things happen.
Stud is the right word. A lot of guys have won the Norris in their second year. There was Bobby Orr, and then there was no one else.
That's why I said kind of unprecedented, right?
Wow. Let's bring in our analytics expert, Mike Kelly. Let's start with our number 1 breakout player, the Norris Trophy winner, Adam Fox. What led to such an impressive breakout season for him? What did the numbers tell you?
They tell me this is a really smart player. And, Dano just made a bunch of really good points. The fact that he plays all situations, that he plays big minutes, top competition, all of that. I want to focus on one thing, though, and that's how smart he is. He doesn't make mistakes with the puck. Rarely ever. And there's a few things that can highlight this. The amount of time the puck was on his stick this season, just over 140 minutes. Puck on stick possession, that was second among all top minute defensemen in the league. His possession success rate, which measures how often he makes a successful play with the puck, an impact positive play for the Rangers, more than 3/4 of the time, number 1 among all the top defensemen in the league. And his turnover rate, how often he turns it over relative to his puck possessions, was the lowest of any of these defensemen. That's the smarts, that's the intelligence that this kid plays with. Again, we shouldn't be shocked. He's a Harvard man. Of course he's smart, but his escapability and the fact that, again, when you pressure him and he'll make a nice quick outlet pass, he'll make a nice stretch pass, he can skate around guys and beat defenders one-on-one. All 3 zones, as Dano mentioned, he is very intelligent along with being incredibly skilled. So when I think about Adam Fox, the success he had, I think about an incredibly smart hockey player whose hockey IQ is absolutely through the roof.
Your IQ is through the roof. Those were next level stats. Very cool stuff to be able to see just how effective he is and how intelligent he is. Oh, there's a reason he went high in the draft, and he finished the season strong, Dano. 7 points in his last 9 games. Could he be a breakout player on this show next year?
I think no question he can be, and obviously you talked about his finish to the National Hockey League. His rookie year was strong, and obviously I've said it many times here where kids 18 years old coming league, and unless you're a generational player, they don't come on the scene like a McDavid or Matthews and make a splash right away. It's getting acclimated. You're in the best league in the world, and it's understanding, well, you have a little more time than you think. You have a little more space. You're just trying to survive the first half of the year a lot of the time, no matter how skilled you are, even if you're as skilled as Lafreniere. But you started to see why he was drafted #1 overall later in the season, as far as his terrific shot, quick hands. He's a big body that can go to the paint and find loose pucks, and he's going to be a prolific scorer, in my opinion, in this league for a long time. No question about it. We saw a glimpse of it near the end of the year, so he could absolutely be and might be at the top of that list as far as breakout players for next year.
From him, a former first overall pick, to a first overall pick with the Devils, Jack Hughes. His sophomore campaign, he looked more confident. You saw him up close. What do you think is ahead in year 3?
Sky's the limit for Jack Hughes, and obviously now that he'll be surrounded with some better players, the Devils made some changes for the good of the team and organization in the offseason. So I think Jack Hughes has only touched the tip of the iceberg of what he's capable of. We saw him take a huge leap from year 1 to year 2. Maybe not so much from the offensive numbers. Yes, it was an improvement. It wasn't drastic, but he had the puck on his stick so often. If you look at the analytical numbers, and Mike Kelly does it better than anyone, he had the puck on his stick a lot, created so much offense. Didn't always go in, but he's going to get bigger and stronger even this year and be able to score much more as well.